Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls. My name is Oswald Lyric Vividar, and this is Gold Rush the game. We're going to be talking about hog panning and tiers. So there are three different tiers in the game. So the first one being the hog pan area, which is the first area that you need to work in when situating yourself in Gold Rush the game. The hog pan consists of a few items. So when you first come to Old Arnold, you'll come to where this tent area is, and you'll see the hog pan dig site. Now, depending on how you're playing your game, whether it's easy, medium or hard, depends on how many times that you'll need to use this hog pan area to get yourself set up. Now, I've estimated, you can see exactly the big dig site that I've used here. Between me and my son yesterday, we did 28 fills of the hog pan area, which took us pretty much all day to do. We didn't stop. We started around about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't finish hog panning until roughly about 8 o'clock in the evening. It was draining. We did have a few breaks here and there when we went shopping and come back home, but it took us pretty much all day to get this cleared. So, but we did 28 fills all together, and we got roughly about, if I work it out, I think it's about 700 gold we got out of the 28 fills. So we got roughly 22 to 25 grams per bucket. But I've estimated that this hog pan area is roughly about 20. That's the damage we did on 28 fills. As you can see, that's probably around about a third. So I'm estimating it would probably take you about 80 to 100 fills to empty this entirely. I'm not entirely sure how many, but I will put that in the guide once I've actually finished it. But I reckon it's going to be around about the 80 mark to probably 100 mark. And the idea is that if you're like me, you want to complete it to 100%. I'm going to divide that over the next 25 days that I'm going to be working on this main plot, because the idea of me playing this game at the moment is to replay the game the way I like to play it, which is on hard, and I'm intending on finishing every single claim within 25 days using the one times feature. So at the end of the 100 days, I'm going to complete all 4 plots of land, including their hog pan areas. Now, if for argument's sake it is 100 fills, that means I've got to do at least 4 fills a day. So I'm going to fill the hog pan area 4 times per day over 25 days, which hopefully completes this area, as well as obviously doing roughly 10 to 12 squares of land on the main area. So if you divide up roughly how many squares there are on this main area here, I've roughly estimated it's about 250 squares. So I'd have to do roughly 10 to 12 squares per day, depending on where I start from my main day. Now, on easy, you could do that on the first day, so it's easy. You just divide it by 10 and it's done. Now, on a hard game or on a medium game, I mean, you can pretty much set up mobile wash plant on your first day, like I did. I mean, I set up mobile wash yesterday and I filled 12 buckets before I ended my day, and I ended my first day with earning 1,606 gold on my first day from 28 hog pan fills and 12 buckets from the mobile wash. Which wasn't a bad day's worth of grind, to be fair, but it was a long day. So, whereas normally if you were playing on, say, an easy or medium game, you're talking an easy 4,000-5,000 gold. I mean, on an easy game, you're talking you get 1,000 gold for doing 4 buckets worth. And then you go on to mobile wash, you can then achieve probably a lot longer. I mean, normally my first day on an easy and a medium game, I'd do at least 24 to 36 buckets of mobile washing before I end my day. And normally on the second day, I've already set up my main wash plant. Normally with the easy game, I'm pretty much setting up the first wash plant by probably the first 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours of gameplay. I normally do 4 hog pan fills, and then 12 to 24 buckets on easy. On a medium game I did 36 buckets of gold from the mobile wash and 4 fills of the hog pan, whereas on the hard game I did 12 from the mobile wash and 28 from the hog pan. So that just gives you a variation of what you need to do to set up the actual game to get yourself where you need to be. And obviously the quicker you do that, the better off it's going to be. So the more perseverance you've got for the game, the quicker you can get yourself set up eventually. So the idea of this hog panning area is that you're going to basically, and I'm going to quickly show you how I set up my area. So this pump is normally situated around this corner here. As you can see, I've got 2. The reason I have 2 is I've got one for my hog pan area and I've got one for my mobile wash area, because unfortunately the mobile wash and hog pan cannot be run off the same pump due to the pressure system. Now you may have noticed that I've got a settings video where I talk about pressure. We're going to overgo that now. So as you can see, this small diesel pump has 80 litres per minute that it can pump out of the water and pump into your items. It also has a maximum range of 100 metres. Now that means this red cable here that's in the water, you can have 50 metres distance. So you could place this pump 50 metres away from the water using the red pump, red hose, and then from there 50 meters from there to here. So as you can see, that reads 43 meters out of 50, so that's 43 meters distance between where that pump now is to where that mobile water tank is. And obviously this one's only using 12 meters. It doesn't look like 12 meters, but there is 12 meters in length. So the idea is you get a 100-meter range. Now it's very important for you to understand that, because the pressure system in the game is vitally important. If you don't have enough pressure, your items just won't turn on, full stop, if you've got the pressure system on. Now if you're playing in hard, that means that the system just won't have any of it. If you're playing in medium, the system will allow you to run it. It just basically means that you're going to be losing water, whereas on hard, the difference in the pressure system is that if you haven't got the pressure, the items are just not going to turn on, which means you have to turn them off or you have to unplug them. Whereas on a medium game, it just zaps your water out of the tank, right? So there is slight difference in the settings of medium and hard. So as you can see, I've got that set up so that it goes into the inlet, into the tank, and then you switch on this beauty around this corner here, and that comes out into my splitter, and then 2 cables out of the splitter. I've got one coming up here to my wave table, and then one going into my mobile wash. Now I don't normally set up it over here for mobile washing. It's just when I went to set up my mobile wash plant, unfortunately the ground was covered in snow, and it will be covered in snow because it's on your first day. Remember, it's just finished winter, so the ground is going to be packed with snow, and you're going to have to find an area which you can actually work in so you can dig the ground. Now if you find a nice patch of dirt that isn't covered in snow, I'd suggest working there and working around the snowed area. I wish I could show you what I mean, but I can't redo the data. It would just take me too long. I'm not willing to go over 28 more fills of the hog pan just to show you. I could just zap it and just show you, but unfortunately that would mean me doing some hog pan, and I really can't be bothered. After doing 28 days, I hope you understand why I don't want to do any more hog panning for now. So I situated myself over here, and I just sat my excavator here for a while, dug this side, and then moved my excavator over here so I could dig this nasty little gap in the pay dirt. so I could situate myself off and filled 12 buckets. Normally I would make my mobile wash plant on this cliff edge here. I'll just show you what I normally do from the gold map a sec. So if you press select on your controller, you can bring up the gold map. Now this is a great tool that you can use for situating yourself. If you highlight one of these squares, if you dig one of the squares or the square's already been dug, you can highlight one of the squares and it will have like a yellow outline to it, which means you can then highlight, say, 10 squares or something. That's the area of dig that you need to work that particular day, and it comes in handy. But that means you need obviously a drill, and I didn't really have the money for one, so I didn't really bother with one. I didn't really have the money to rent one either and send it to my claim and then get rid of it, so I decided not to bother, because that would mean I'd have to rent one for about $2,500 literally to use it to like highlight a couple of squares, and I wouldn't have been able to use it anyway because the ground would have been snowed over, so it's just pointless. But normally I will work along this cliff edge here normally. So I put my wavetable magnet separator and all that up here, a couple of lights, and I will normally would situate myself where I put the mobile wash here in around 192 to 193, and I will work the area around it, and then I normally just start with this area here and just work myself backwards. Now I have got a way of doing this game where I like keeping one part undug and the other part dug. Now I normally start with this area here and I work myself around the back, down here, across here, up, and then around, and come back up here, and then finish over close to the wash plant. That allows me to work an area dig site where I've got enough space to actually move all my machinery around, and also that I can still use my excavator as well as my front end loader, as well as being able to take my dump truck on main gravel rather than taking it on main ground. It's only the way I like to operate. I mean, you can work however you want to work, but it gives me a good range. And especially if you think about if you wanted to use a Franklin machine, your machine would have to fill this wash plant area here. So if you see this area here is where your shaker's going to be, so you'd want your first Franklin to be over here somewhere. Now if you situate yourself where you've either not dug the area or you have dug the area, it's probably better if you've dug that area of ground, so you could situate as close to the Franklin, to the shaker as possible, so that the Franklin allows all the dirt to get into the Franklin to then be sorted. It means you can unplug the convoy belt and the convoy hopper, and then just load from there. But to be fair, the price of a Franklin's not, I don't really like them that much, so I prefer actually using the front end loader and the dump truck and driving back and forth. I mean, it's roughly about 5.5 fills per convoy hopper. So I mean, each dump truck is 18% of the wash plant altogether, and each excavator load is 6% of that. Front end loader is 12% of that. So you're talking 8.5 loads of the front end loader to, what is it? You're talking 15, 16, 17. So you're talking 18 fills of an excavator. If you're using a small excavator, you'll be there all day. Sorry to say it, but you are. I do not enjoy playing the game with a small excavator. I never have done, never will. I mean, they're only 3%, so it's 3% of a dump truck, and it's about 25% fill on the mobile wash. You'll be there all day long, and by the time it's processed that dirt, I mean, the time, it's all about timing, you see. So for me, the small excavator is only about 3%, and it's about 25% of a mobile wash, and it's 3% of a dump truck. And by the time you've dug the ground and lifted it over to the mobile wash, it's already processed 25%. Whereas with the large excavator, one full bucket is 50%, so it's 2 fills and it's done. And while that's running, you can literally go, you know, it's not going to process 50% by the time you fill it up. But anyway, getting back to the picture, so the next tier is literally a mobile wash. The few items that you'll need, I've written it already in the guide. You'll need obviously the mobile wash, a couple of green hoses and a connector, a blue cable connector and another blue cable if you want to move it about. So you want it roughly about 100 meter range on it, so you'll need 2 blue cables and a connector. An extension connector. You'll need 3 green hoses and 2 connecting pumps, or 2 connectors, sorry, so that you get a 90 meter distance. If you want to extend that a bit more within your reach, I mean, you could have, say, 150 meter reach from, I mean, you've got 200 meters that you can reach with this pump. So you've got from the water edge 100 meters between, so you could situate your pump 50 meters from where the water line is. So I normally would put the red hose here 50 meters, take it out until it doesn't move, then situate the pump, then plug in the pump, you know, then the red hose from there into the mobile wash, and it just gives you the range that you need. If you need to move it that far out, I mean, I don't normally bother because I normally put my water tank here. Now the reason being is that when I get to tier 3, I normally situate that tank there, and I situate it over here next to another large generator, where I will then situate my magnet separator, wavetable and gold nuggeter, couple of lights, put a couple of lights on this ridge edge here. I then connect a blue cable leading off down this route here with an extender, and then I put 2 lights. So I normally connect another blue cable, come up round the back of this area, and then I put an extender on it, and then I have 2 lights up on this ridge edge. That way I've got plenty of light in this area here, and I can also extend it out if need be. So if I need to at any point, I've only got to extend them 2. So once this area is all dug out, I can then move some lights out and put it down here somewhere, so I can then get to work on this area here. But to be fair, I mean, the way I work is that I'll move those 2 lights over here and I'll situate them on this edge here instead, and I'll work around until I've done the entire area and work my way back. But I'll still have the 2 lights, and I'll just add extra lights in as and when I need to. That large tanker over there just allows me to be able to plug in 4 sets of lights, as well as, you know, I can then control my lights and my little machines and the pump all from one generator, and then my main wash plant from another generator, where I've only got my main plant and 2 lights, rather than having my main generator situated with lots of lights and blah blah blah. So I like to have another generator, because you're not going to be using the lights throughout the whole entire day. You're only going to be using it when it gets dark. You're not always going to be using the wavetable and blah 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 blah, because I normally do, with my main wash plant, I have 4 changes. So 3 changes that are going to be done by the plant, and a 4th to refill the plant with wire go and empty all my buckets and clean my mats, etc etc. And then there's 1 already to rock and roll. So I just bring everything back, dump it all down, and get straight back to work again. Having 4 the ability of filling 4 sets of 100% is good, whereas if you had 3, I mean, you'd have to wash it all and come back and put 2 in, and you'd only have 2 changes. I just prefer to have 3 full changes on top of that to you know, just carry on working basically. You could have 6, you could have 12 if you really wanted. I just have 4. It's just easier for me to operate in that manner. It's just how I like to process my pay dirt, and it gives me the ability to then use the main wash plant 12 times in a singular day. And I normally do 3 fills, come over, empty everything, back again, 3 fills, come back, empty everything, come back again. Do that 4 times, job done, off I go. Yeah, it's the same thing as why I've got 12 buckets in this massive large crate here. Fill 12 buckets, empty 12 buckets, come back, fill 12 buckets, empty 12 buckets, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's just how I operate with my game. That thing there can take 12 buckets, that's the max. So I fill 12 buckets, empty 12 buckets, fill 12 buckets, empty 12 buckets, and just keep doing that until basically you're fed up, basically. So your mobile wash plant, this is your second tier. So you'll need your mobile wash plant, you'll need a water tank. Now the reason I suggest having a water tank, you may not need to have one, but I will suggest it. You want a mobile water tank, because at any time, if that ice is over, you haven't got any water supply. The moment that ice is over and you do not have something that's got water inside of it, you will stop processing pay dirt. You need something for water to be able to be used from. So having a mobile water tank that's already halfway filled with water. So what I did was I brought the mobile water tank. I took it to the water tank facility in town, which is from the shop here. So you'll see in my guide, I brought the mobile water tank from the shop. I took it from the shop to the water tank. I also took the blue hose. As you can see over there, I've got a blue hose which I put in the back of my truck, and I filled the water tank with 50% water. It only cost me about $2.5 to fill it with 50,000 litres of water. I then took the tank back to the claim. I then set it up. I then plugged in the pump, and now it's pumping in water. I've now got 9,210 litres since plugging in the pump. So I can now claim my 50% back. So I get 50% that I filled it with, and to be fair, not being funny, but this thing over here, so the mobile wash plant is only using roughly, oh, it won't even tell me, bastards. So if I remember rightly, the mobile water tank uses, I think it's 60 litres per minute, and this thing uses either 15 to 20 litres per minute. So if you work out, that's about 80 litres per minute. Your little pump is only pumping 80 litres per minute into that tank, right? So if you were to run that little tiny pump with both of them, it's going to be able to run both, but you're only going to get 100 metre range in it. Whereas if you've got the mobile water tank on top, you've now got 300 metres in length in pressure system. So if you're not using the pressure system and you're playing on easy, you don't need to worry about distance because you ain't got the pressure system installed. But if you're playing with the pressure system like I am, which is how I want to play the game, you need to take that into consideration. I've now got 300 metres in length in water pressure. So yeah, that's entirely up to you. I mean, that's how I like to play the game, because hey, it's how the game's supposed to be played, right? And I'm playing in hard. I mean, easy is just way too easy. Make too much gold and it's just not fun. I mean, you can pretty much go to tier 5 straight away with an easy game and just earn shitloads of gold, complete the game. It's just boring. You don't achieve anything, you don't earn anything out of it, it's just boring. For me, I like to be able to struggle a little bit and achieve stuff, you know. It's the same thing in life. Life can be hard, you learn from hardness, you know. You learn from having a hard time. So anyway, getting back to the picture, so you'll need that. You'll also need a fuel tank. So with the fuel tank, it's the same thing. So you just take that to the petrol station, fill it up to max and bring it to the claim. You'll need it for your excavator. You don't need to buy it straight away, buy it at the end of the day. So once you've processed, say, 12 buckets and 4 like hog pans, go buy yourself a tank and you can then fill up your own excavator. I don't normally buy an excavator, I normally rent it at first and then I buy it when I can afford it. For now I'm renting one, and I'm going to carry on renting it until I can afford to actually buy one. It's only roughly around about 3,000 a day, and you know, yesterday I made something stupid like 68 grand. Even on hard, I made about 68 grand altogether. So I mean, you can still make money. So if I'm doing that just off mobile wash, imagine what I'm going to be earning off tier 3. And this is the difference between time settings as well. If you were to work on a times 12, you'd probably only get 3 fills of the wash plant. Yeah. So you're not going to earn the gold. You're going to struggle a lot more. So you could set it to times 3 and you'll probably get 6 wash loads out of it. You're still going to earn gold, but you're just going to be breaking even. You know, so if you put it on times 12, the game just goes too quickly. It's just not enjoyable. You're just not going to earn the gold. And also, if you think about whenever you get a repair, you're going to be down for an hour or two. You know, while you're while you're fixing a hydraulic pump or whatever on a dump truck. You know, it's just turn the time down. If you get a break, if you are playing with the time setting on 12, turn the time down while you're repairing an item. That way you're not losing so much downtime. There's a way of playing there for you. Right, so with the mobile wash, you'll need a large crate, 12 buckets, a couple of leads and stuff, obviously, to plug everything in. Take into consideration how much you want to move around. If you want to go the full 200 meters distance, you'll need to take that into consideration and make sure you buy enough cables to plug everything in. I doubt you'll need 200 meter distance, to be fair. By the time you finish 12 to 24 buckets of the mobile wash, you are ready to set up a tier 3 wash plant. I'm going to now take you over my mobile wash, my major wash plant in a minute. I'm going to exit this game and show you from my medium game what my major tier 3 setup looks like, and you'll see how I've arranged absolutely everything, and also the dent in the ground that I created in that setup. So 2 seconds, let me go to load. So that's a tier 2 setup. This is a tier 3 setup. It's not that difficult to set up. I will, however, change the time. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. There's not much light, so just gonna go 6 hours into the future. Oh fuck. Great, I've missed a day. Oh god, just go sleep for 6 hours. There we go. Right. So this is how I've set up my major area, and this is how I'm going to set up my future area too. So let's start off with where I put everything. So this is I'm now on my medium game. I no longer have the dig site over here, and you can see the difference between the 4 fills to the 28 that I did the other day. Right, so I normally will keep that up and running, but because I didn't bother, I just carried on going. So you've got the hopper, which is where you load all your pay dirt from your dump truck. You then got your convoy belt, which will take the pay dirt from the hopper up into the shaker. There's a shaker. There's my 7 meter cables for moving everything around. So this is your shaker. So this is going to shake all that rock and process it and wash it. All the chunks of shit will come out the end of this sluice box here and come out. So all basically the heavy rocks will come out of it, and the gold will enter this sluice box and go down, right? So it will go through these grates and go into the trommel. From the trommel, it then spins around, separating all the chunks, right? The smaller chunks, and empty into the next sluice boxes. And it will then pass through the miner grills and the miner moss mats. It then empties into the duplex jig. From the duplex jig, it then shakes it. It then somehow separates and goes into these buckets, right? and then the rest of the pay dirt will come out of here into the hog pan and out again. Right, and you want the hog pan and pump with this, so not the hog pan, because otherwise you'll have to pour water in and blah blah blah, and it will just get a mess, because that will overfill eventually. So you want the hog pan and pump with the whole setup. And then you've got the hog pan and 4 moss miner mats, sorry, going in, so the whole fill. And as you can see, I've got 3 crates full of 8 mats each for 1 clean each. I've also got 2 large crates with 24 buckets. So 4 buckets in here. No, it's 20 buckets, sorry. So I've got 4 buckets in here, and I split 8 and 8. 1 for each side. I've then also got 3 crates full of 12 miner mats. So each time I fill it to 100%, I clean out the hog pan mats, take it over to my fill site. I then clean my miner mats, take that over. I take out the buckets, I add them to this empty crate and fill it to max. I then also clean out the grates up the top, add the bucket in here. That will then get filled up 3 times. These will get filled up 3 times. These will get filled up 3 times, and that will get filled up 3 times. So you're thinking that's 12 full buckets from that. I also have the option to turn off the water tank. So I've brought the water tank, 150,000. And all I've got to do is come up here, turn it off, turn it on. Right? That allows me to control the water coming out of the tank, because I want that to fill up, so I've got more water just in case I freeze up. I've also got my massive generator where I've situated literally just the 2 G-Plux jigs. That's it, just 2 G-Plux jigs, 2 work lights. I've also got the trommel, shaker, convoy belt container, and big pump. So this is a big electric pump, which I've connected the large hose around the back of the tent, sorry. So it's in the water, comes out of the water, round the back of here, and into the front of the pump. And I've got it situated close by to the generator, so I can come around the corner, fill my generator up. Normally I come around this side, but I can't be asked. It was just how I situated the generator when I put it up. So basically, from the pump into the water tower, into the inlet of the water tower, and then that way I can fill the water tower with the water from the water pump. And that can generate 220 litres per minute at a 300 metre range. Right? Don't need 100 metre range, because it's just going straight into the water tank. The water tank's got a 300 metre range on it too, right? So that gives you roughly 300 metres to work with. But you don't need it, because obviously you're right by where you need to be. But if you wanted to situate yourself, you've got, all you need to do is situate a pump that goes into that, and then out of that you could then use your mobile water tank to go further out and use a mobile wash if you really wanted to. Don't really see the point. Just use the main wash plant. It's much easier. So a large water pump, large hose, sorry, comes into a splitter with 2 red cables, one going into the shaker, the other is going into a splitter again down here, and then split into the hog pans so that you can clean the hog pans. That's it. Done. Right, that's how easy it is. Then you've got 2 work lights down here where you can then work during the night if need be with your cleaning area of your main end wash plant. Right, and like I said earlier about the extension to the lights, so I took you over the extension of the lights. I've got 2 lights on the top of this ridge so I can work during the night just in case. And do you remember when I was talking about the gold map? There's my gold map. So this is all the dig site. So I can highlight the areas that I want to dig. And as you can see, this is where I've been processing all my dirt. Big hole, right? So like I was saying, I leave an area where I can come. So I can take my dump truck down here, I've got my excavator up on the top of the ridge line, and I normally will dig along this ridge and work around and back on myself. I then use the front end loader to clear up the rest of it. You see that white outline? That basically tells me the square that I need to operate myself in. I can highlight it off and on. I can highlight the other square and turn that one on. So if it's dark yellow, it means there's shitloads of gold. Yellow, hardly any gold. White, practically no gold. Yeah? If there's no outline, you've dug it up. But it really does help you if you have that option available to you, because you can highlight the squares that you need to process and then move on. So from there, I've got 2 lights on the top of there, my excavator, my dump truck, my front end loader. That's my mobile, that's my wash plant. Pretty lush, right? This is the area that I'm processing right now. This is the point where I'll get back to in the game once I get set up with my harder game. And this is the area where I've got another large generator, which is powering those 2 lights up on this ridge edge. The 2 lights over the top of there with an extender, as you can see, there's a cable coming out of it, running around down the bottom of there, and plugged in into my 2 extras. I've then got 2 extra lights, work lights over here, working for myself while I'm cleaning out my wavetable, my magnet trailer, and yes, I have 2 nuggeters, because I've got the capability of using 2 at a time. So I normally will use 2 of these at a time to clean the mats. Once the mats are cleaned out, turn them off. I then do all the magnet separator and the wavetable. Pretty easy, right? Like I said before, that's where I situate my mobile water tank, because it's easy enough to operate. It's got a cable that runs down here where it's plugged into an electric pump. Comes out the electric pump and comes into the water just round the corner here where I had it before. Easy, right? I've then got a fuel truck, magnet trailer. I've also got my mobile fuel tank situated with my dump truck, so I can then fill it up with water, fuel, and go around and refill everything with fuel. And it's easy if you have it over here, because I've got that very close by to the generator, so I can fill it twice. So I just park my car here, I can fill the generator and the pump at the same time. I then drive off, fill up the other generator with fuel, go off and refuel my trucks. I finish my day. Done. Go to the tent, sleep, wake up in the morning, start again. 12 times. Easy, right? Right, so that's my setup. This is what you're working towards in the game. Now, there are a few various items that I'm going to take you over now. So if we head towards the tent a second, we have a few upgrades that we can make along the way. So if we go and head towards the tablet, as you can see, I've got all the windows open, right? So this is your machine shop, your machine store. So you've got your equipment store. So this is where you're going to buy all your equipment. There's your parts, so when you're replacing parts you can buy them. And like I said before, you've got normal items and reinforced items. Yes, there's a big difference in price, but there's also a big difference in how quickly they will die off. So, you know, normal wheel 546, and you know, you'll see that you're going to pay more for it. So if you buy it from here, it's 546 from the actual shop, 710 to buy at your claim. It needs to be delivered to the claim, so you'll pay for more for it. It gets automatically delivered to your claim. So, and you know, this is the thing, you can buy reinforced tooths, excavator tracks, batteries, inner cogs, outer cogs, you know, fuel filters, hydraulic pumps, all sorts of bullshit. So if you've got the damage on, you're going to be replacing parts, and quite a lot. You've then got small trailer, big trailer, wash plant, magnet trailer, mobile fuel tank, mobile water tank, diesel pumps, electric pumps, and light trailer systems. You've also got accessories like buckets, jerry cans, hoses, extenders, etc, etc, right? If you come into the machine shop, you can buy all your vehicles. Your Frankenstein, which is the thing that allows you to work at a long distance away. You can also go into your mining machines, so like your G-Plex rig, your old Arnold trommel. Well, it's not the old Arnold trommel, sorry, but it's the trommel. That's your first end one. So your first ender, so your stage 3 is going to be your trommel, your shaker, and your G-Plex jigs. You'll need 2 of those, right? So this is just a breakdown of how much it's going to cost you to really do it, right? I normally buy it from the shop and send it to the parcel. It's cheaper for one, saves you a bit of money, and you may as well do it while you're in town. So once you go to the bank, you can buy upgrades. You may as well go to the machine shop, buy it at a machine shop, save yourself a hefty wage rather than go and buy. As you can see, it's 88,000 from the shop, 114,000 on the claim. If you go to the shop, it costs you 88,000 and 1,500 to send it. So you're only spending 90 grand. You're saving yourself 24 grand by not buying it at the parcel. Yeah, it's just easier. If you're gonna be near the bank, you may as well just do it, right? So your upgrades from there. So those are the items that you can either rent. Now I normally would rent those. So I normally rent 2 G-Plex jigs, the trommel, and I'll also rent the shaker, because when I go to upgrade them to the next step, that's where I buy them. So I just get rid of them, put them on the mat, get rid of, and then I no longer have to pay rent for them. I then buy the D-Rocker, I then buy the old Arnold trommel, which is the next stage up, and I also buy the planter, which is the next stage up. So stage 4 is the planter, D-Rocker, the old Arnold trommel. The next stage after that is going to be your reinforced trommel, your Grace Cracker or Grace Creek, and your gravel pumps. And you don't have to do both of them at the same time. You could do one at a time if you really wanted to, but suggestion being, if you're going to upgrade them, do it at night time. At the end of the night, when you finish processing all the pay dirt, you've only then got to come to this. So I'll show you now. So you go over here, you go to your transport window, and you basically just transport those items back from the claim. So you hit move to order, so you go down to your trommel, move machine, done, order. When you go over, you no longer have to move it out the way. So it's gone. Yeah, it's been unplugged and it's gone. Easy peasy. Now you've just got to buy a new one and replace it. Otherwise you've got to basically untangle it, take it over to the mat, sell it. Now if I transport it back, it's now, so this is just how I would do it. So if I want to now bring it back, that trommel should be close by for me to be able to sell. It's now been moved out. Yes, okay, so it's cost me 3 grand to do so, but hey ho, it's only 3 grand. It's money. It's piss. It's not like you're earning a shitload anyway. Now all I've got to do is pick that up, dump it in here to sell it off. Problem solved. Yeah, because that's where you sell everything. So just dump it in there, I can then sell it. It means I don't have to transport it from all the way over there and bring it all the way over here just to sell it. If you're playing in hard, then fine by me, don't bother doing it, just unhook it. I hook it up, take it over, replace it, sell it, done. But, you know, for me, where I've got so much money with it being a medium game and easy game, waste of money transporting it over. It's not like I can't afford to. With the hard game, maybe if you're playing on really hard, like, you know, times 12, maybe don't bother, just use the time setting and just change it over. But the reason I have this over here on top is because it doesn't diminish my my frames per second by much, and it means I can have more lights and I can work throughout the night, and I can control it through that one rather than controlling it from my main generator. It just makes life a little bit easier for me. You don't have to set up the same way I do, but that's just generally the idea. And you're working to basically improve things, so you could work towards the next step, and then the next step, like up from that. Like I said, if you basically buy the you could buy the enhanced shaker, for instance. You could upgrade your shaker first, then you could then go and upgrade your trommel next, and then you could then upgrade your 2 duplex jigs after that, and do it in 3 steps. Or you could just save the money for all 3 steps. It's not going to take you too long to do it all in one hit, to be fair. So if you save up the money and do it all in one hit, it's only going to take you probably an hour's worth of gameplay just to reset up. You've only got to move all that lot out the way and take the 2 rigs out, and then replace the items, and then start up. But if you do that at the end of your processing day, so say like with me, I work from say 6 o'clock in the morning, I do my 12 fills, that's about 6 o'clock in the evening by the time I'm finished. By the time I'm finished clearing up and getting to the blacksmith to, you know, process all my pay dirt and get to the bank, you're talking about 7 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock in the evening. And it gives you 4 hours to work with. You could then upgrade all your items, get to the parcel, unlock the items, put them in. By the end of the night, you're talking, what, 11 o'clock at night, you'll be finished with moving shit around, get to sleep, wake up the next morning, you've now got an upgraded area. Peace, pesse, done. And then when you do it again, you do it again. But first things first, I would suggest, depending on the game that you're playing, especially if you're playing on medium and hard, the first process would be, 1, get your tier 3 wash plant sorted. From getting your tier 3, you want to buy your parcel. Once you've bought your parcel, then upgrade the wash plant. You then probably want to save yourself some money with buying your machines. So you probably want to save money with your machines, buying the parcel, because you think you're losing 30% per parcel. Yeah. So at the moment, because I'm playing on hard and medium, I'm renting the parcel, so I'm losing 30% of the gold that I make every day in rent given to the bank. So the quicker I pay for that parcel, the sooner I can make all the money myself. And you may not think it's a lot. Like, you think my first day I earned 1,606 grams of gold, and out of that I had to give away 492 grams. Let me find where my phone is. So it's roughly $38.1 per gram of gold. Yes, $38.1 per gram. So you think 490 odd grams of gold, that's about 15 to 16,000 I paid out on my first day. That could have given me 80 grand in my first day. So if you imagine earning double that, that's 32 grand taken away from you in pay dirt that you could earn for yourself, which means you're earning even more money. Now I've estimated that I can earn, I think it's 114,000 a day doing 4 fills of, that's just on my mobile wash. So I'm going for 100 buckets per day. So I'm going to be doing a 100 bucket fill per day until I can earn the money. That's about 115 grand. Which probably means that I'm going to be working 4 days on my mobile wash before I get my tier 3. From my tier 3, I'm then going to buy my claim. So I'm probably going to be buying my claim on probably my 10th day. because I need to earn 600,000 to do so. I then want to purchase my vehicles. Once I've purchased my vehicles, I'll upgrade my claim. I then upgrade my claim again. So by the time I've got to probably day 15, day 12 I reckon I'll be purchasing most of my vehicles. By day 15 I might just be able to upgrade a few items. By day 20 I'm going to have the full whack tier 5 wash plant. Then 5 days to then make enough gold to then be able to buy my next parcel and get set up. But I won't be thinking of that further down the line. So when I first get to the parcel, I want to do 4 of the hog panning and get work straight away. And I want to leave behind the wash plant on this claim before I move on to the next one. So I don't want to be taking any of this stuff with me, because once the whole 100 days is over, I want to then come back and be able to rework on it by resetting everything. Hopefully when you reset I've not actually done it yet, but hopefully when I reset everything, that means all the dirt will be back. I can work the next season with all the dirt back, and I'll also have all my machines on maximum. All I've got to do is move all this stuff out of the way and put it in storage. Done. Then I've only got to reset up and work again. Do the next season, the next season, and the next season after that. Job done. I could even just sell all the items off. But I'm not entirely sure, because I've never actually fully played a whole season. I'm not entirely sure that at the end of the season I then basically start the next season with no money. I'm not entirely sure. You might start the next season with fuck all money and have to start all over again. I don't know. I actually haven't got that far to actually get. I think I've made it to like day 20 before I gave up the game, so I've never actually gone all the way through the game until the end of it. So this is where I'm trying to do it now, and at the moment I'm working nearly 2 days solid just to do 1 day's worth of graft on this on this thing. If I play all damn day, I might be able to do a full day, but you're talking probably 12 hours straight days, and unfortunately for me with 2 kids it's nigh impossible for me to play that long. I've got, you know, my 10-year-old boy to think about and my 14-year-old daughter to think about, doing food and looking after them, and like making sure we've got enough food in the house, and you know, walking the dog and etc etc. Like, you know, I've got better things to do than play a game all day long. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I'll see you in the next. Ciao.